Hello, welcome again. This is Introduction to Customary Law of Papua New Guinea. This time I would like to talk about customary law and the common law of England. The legal principles that we have in this country and are applied in the formal court system, especially in the higher courts. These legal principles were manufactured in England, got transported to Australia, and eventually to PNG and imposed on us. So 80 to 90% of the legal principles that we apply and we use every day in the formal legal systems came from England. But one thing you must know is that PNG was never in a legal vacuum. PNG was never in a legal vacuum when Europeans came and colonized PNG. PNG was already a civilized society. We lived in our local tribes, in communities. We had our own laws. We were not wanderers and gatherers. No, we lived in formal settlements with legal systems. We had laws for marriage. We had laws for homicide or killing, murder, all this. We had laws. We had laws for stealing. So we lived in formalized, a civilized society. We had laws to deal with various crimes. So PNG was never in a legal vacuum. When the colonizers came, mostly they ignored the existence of those laws and they imposed their own laws on us. So now we have got a society in which we have got two conflicting regimes of law running parallel to govern the same subject matter. So, for instance, a crime of murder. It's not a new crime. The common law, the ideas that we borrowed from our colonial masters. We have, and those laws have now been imposed on us. The criminal code that we have, we got it from Queensland, Australia, and then that was brought over to Australia from England, and then from Australia to PNG, and now we have adopted it, and it has now become part of our legal system. But in our traditional Melanesian societies, we also had laws to deal with murder. And these laws are alive and well, they are active. You can't just pretend. These laws are alive and well, they are active, even though they are not formal. They're alive and well. And every single day, people are applying those laws, Melanesian customary laws, to resolve their day-to-day issues and disputes. In the formal court system, it is so rigid, so legalistic. You got their strict processes. If you don't follow them, you stand a chance of your case being knocked out. You can lose a lot of money in the process. And that is the common law system. But a Melanesian customary law is straightforward. We talk it over. We know the law. Even though we don't have books, law books, we know it. It's in the blood. It's running in our blood veins. We know it. We know how to apply it. So we now have got two regimes of laws, conflicting regimes of laws. But our founding fathers, understanding this, they made provisions in the Constitution giving that power to the higher courts to develop a legal system, a law, underlying law. and then extract some of these worthy Melanesian customary law principles and then apply them in the formal court systems, knowing fully well that they were adapting because we were in a hurry to, gain independence. So there was no time to just, extract the customary laws and then formalize them. So they decided to make provisions in the Constitution, giving that duty to the higher courts to apply customary law in the formal court systems. The sad reality is that we are not applying that. Why? Because customary law is handwritten, common law is basically written. You read them in the pages of textbooks, the laws, statutory law, and of course case laws. So customary law is handwritten and yet active, and common law is written. So it's easy to make reference. So that's why lawyers always resort to common law. So we need to codify, we need to record our customs, so that if we don't do that, we will lose big time. Our Melanesian values, our Melanesian customs. Big time. But a common law, if you could study legal history, these were common customs of Anglo-Saxons. Before William the Conqueror crossed the English Channel, went from Normandy across to England, conquered England, and became the king, imposed his law on them in the 11th century. And before that, they lived in tribes and they had their own local customs and laws. So as they were developing, as they were evolving into a one big state, all these local customs, they formalized them, common customs, they extracted them and then applied them throughout the kingdom. And that's how common law came to be. And then eventually when Great Britain became a superpower in the 19th centuries, it exported it all over the world and imposed on its former colonies, including Papua New Guinea. Now, we have that law in our formal court systems, while Melanesian customary law is active, but active outside of the formal court systems. But our founding fathers made provisions in the Constitution that now customary law shouldn't be a spectator, should be brought into the formal court systems, and that we can do it through the development of an indigenous jurisprudence. Jurisprudence basically means law. And they have already made provisions like Section 9 of the Constitution, Section 21 and 22 of the Constitution, and Schedule 2 of the Constitution, and finally, Underlying Law Act 2000. These are the laws that provide for the development of an indigenous jurisprudence, an indigenous law that appreciates worthy Melanesian customs. I feel that we have not given prominence to this, and in doing so, we have done injustice to our founding fathers. We have come of age, and we must now give prominence. We should be passionate about it. Encourage our young lawyers that are coming up and those who are already in the legal system to rise up and give a voice to it. Let's come together and develop it. Let's present custom in court. The law agencies must do their bit. Even the parliament must do its bit. Otherwise, we have copy and paste the law here. That law is not fully applicable. It can be readily applicable in England, but certainly not in PNG. That's why people are not feeling comfortable to come to court. Instead, they are resolving their issues outside of the formal court system under the rain tree. So they're definitely not using common law. So what law is it that they are using to resolve their disputes? That's an interesting topic. In the next part, that is part 3, I'll talk about it. The objective of common law and the objective of customary law, and why Papua New Guineans are not feeling safe coming to court or going to court to resolve their issues, and instead resorting to customary law to resolve their issues. Please don't go in, subscribe, and look out for the next part, and that is part 3. We are still on the topic, Introduction to Customary Law. Thank you so much.